Here's my Worcester Bosch High Flow 400 floor standing boiler. It's been running the radiators in the house since it was built in 1992, so it's about 30 odd years old now. Now, when the system was installed, obviously magnetic filters were not really a thing. So over the years I suspect that magnetite's built up in the system in spite of using inhibitor in the system. I looked around online and I saw that people were using the Magnacleanse, which seemed like an excellent idea. But given I'm not a professional user, I'd use it once only on this, and then that would be it. It didn't warrant the expense. So anyway, what I've done, I bought myself a cheap Adey Magnaclean, one of the early ones. I think I paid about £20 for it. And as you can see, I've just temporarily plumbed it into the return line in the boiler. Unfortunately, my installation is very tight in the corner of the kitchen, and there's really no room to fit a magnetic filter permanently into the system without cutting holes in the granite worktop and so on. So I'm planning just to do this as a one-shot deal and go from there. And if it cleans it out and I can put the inhibitor in, then hopefully that'll keep it in good shape for another 30 years. So one other thing I did is I like the idea of the Vibraclean, but again, at £100 and just using it once, it wasn't worth it. So I've made my own. So you can see what I've done is I've got an SDS adapter, just a regular chuck, and then I've got a hockey puck that you use on a car jack. So that, I think that was about £6. The adapter was about £3 from Toolstation, and I already had the chuck, and so I've used that on my SDS drill to go along the bottom of the radiators. And the pad is pretty hard, but it's soft enough that it doesn't actually damage the paint. So I was quite pleased with that. That seems to have worked well for less than £10. So I've drained the system down. I've put fresh water in it, but I've only half filled the radiators. I used some of the Fernox F3 cleaner, so I've put that in. I've run it before I used the DIY Vibraclean. I used it just to flush the system, and then I had a look at the filter, and it had already picked up quite a lot of stuff. So now I've been round with the Vibraclean. So I've done each radiator individually, shutting off all the others, so I get the maximum flow through each one whilst I use the Vibraclean, obviously with the boiler running, to put some heat into the cleaning chemical. And now I'm going to just shut off the valves and open up the filter, and we'll see what we can see. So those are the valves isolated, so now let's open the filter. Wow, that's all I can say. I didn't expect that. Good grief. As you can see, there's a phenomenal amount of magnetite stuck to that. I mean, let me just scrape a bit off and you can see. Actually, I'll use a screwdriver. If I scrape a bit of that off, look how deep that is. Wow. That's quite remarkable. So I've had all that sat in the bottom of my radiators and flowing around the system, so obviously that's not going to be good if it ends up in the smaller parts like the heat exchangers. So yeah, I think I might have to do this another time, really, until I'm not getting anywhere. Well, I don't really want any build up on here when I take the filter out. So yeah, I think this was a very worthwhile exercise. So thumbs up to the guys at Adey who came up with the idea of the Magnaclean and the Magnacleanse and the Vibraclean. You know, if I was a professional user, I'd have no hesitation in buying their professional kit, seeing the success that this has had. So anyway, if you want a cheap Magnacleanse and DIY Vibraclean, follow what I've done, because it seems to be worthwhile. So I hope that's helpful to you. Once I've done all this, by the way, I'm going to stick in some Fernox F1 inhibitor and top the system up, and then I'll be in business.